Coach Hodge went on CBS today and tackled everything from Bob Huggins to getting to the national championship. And Nico and Jalen are battling it out on social media. What the heck's going on there? Let's talk about this all on this episode of Locked On West Virginia, baby.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, where we talking basketball, we talking football. We're having a good time. It's the first day of the week, and we're okay with it because we talking Mountaineer sports. We don't give a damn about nothing else. We love talking about the Mountaineers. Do you have love for the Mountaineers? That's what I want to know today. Let me know down below. Do you love the Mountaineers? Do you have love for the Mountaineers? I think you probably do. Thanks for making this episode of Locked On West Virginia your second listen today, since this is obviously you watched the other video I did today on Braden Hawthorne, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team every single damn day. That's right. We talk about the Mountaineers every single day, 7 days a week, although I did take a day off this week for the first time, 6 October. So appreciate y'all for letting me have at least one. I needed to do laundry. Forgive me. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Monarch Money. Guys, right now with Monarch Money, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off, or that's half if some of you didn't know that, your first purchase. And let's get into this, man. I was really excited to hear from head coach Hodge. Hey, Chief. Hey, John. Hey, Ranger. Thanks to you for those of you listening on podcast as well. You guys are very loyal listeners. We continue to do big numbers over there, man. Several thousand downloads per episode. You guys are crushing me over there. Thank you very much for keeping the lights on around here. And for those of you on YouTube, we're this close to 5,000 subscribers, which is a big deal, which means we hit 5. That means we will have gained since October close to 3,000 subscribers. That's pretty damn good too. We'll take them both. All right. So as we roll through here, like I said, Coach Hodge speaks out on a multitude of issues. He touched on Bob Huggins. He touched on touched on the players that we've recruited and gotten, however little it was, and also national championship, NCAA tournament bid. This is what he had to say on John Rothstein just a little bit ago. And look, I think a lot of people are going to question if he can do it in year one. But what does he say about it?
Obviously want to get back to the NCAA tournament. That's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal would be, to win a national championship. I think that's what, everybody wants to do. And obviously it's not easy to do, but that's what we want to do here. And to do that, you gotta put a team together that's connected and tough. And
so he's not playing around, right? I mean, I don't think you get on here and say that without feeling like it's a possibility. And I think that's just how Coach is wired, right? I think he knows that maybe it won't be this year's team, but I do think he believes that he can win one at West Virginia. Just reading between the lines, talking to some folks here lately about Coach Hodge and how he's wired. And he took that NIT loss not good. The NIT loss to North Texas. I think, the get up and go kind of nature of taking the new job has allowed him not to focus on it, and moving on to West Virginia has been good. But I'm told the immediate aftermath of that game was really hard for him. And that's what kind of player, that's the kind of coach I want, guys. Give me the coach. And for those of the people that say you take sports too seriously, I say to you, because I take sports too seriously, there's something in your life, I guarantee I could find it, that you take too seriously. Promise I could. Whether that's your kids' sporting events, whether that's your latte in the morning at Starbucks, whatever it is, there is something that's minuscule in a real world, big picture that you probably would flip out over. So I don't really want to hear it when it comes to my sports, meaning a lot to me. They've kept me clean for 5 years. That's what I tell people. I don't know what your excuse is, but that's mine, and it's a damn good one. Kind of hard to argue with it. I got a new obsession, right? And that's the way I did it. As for Coach Hodge, give me a coach that can't get up the next day. Well, he kind of has to for practice or whatever, but give me a coach that can't breathe after a loss. Give me a guy that is absolutely just destroyed after a loss. That's the guy I want. I don't want a guy that gets used to losing like Neil Brown did. I don't want a guy that gets complacent at West Virginia like Dana Holgorsen did. I want a guy like Bill Stewart who wore his heart on his sleeve and lived and died with the old gold and blue, maybe even literally. And I think that's what Ross Hodge has the potential to be for us, which is why in the face of the biggest job promotion in his life, maybe that he'll ever get, he said, you know what? I'm going to risk it all. I'm going to risk Grin Baker and Company saying no. And I want to stay at North Texas for this last game. That's what Ross Hodge did. And I promise you, most people wouldn't have done this. There's a loyalty aspect to this that I can really get down with, because if there's one thing that I was, even on the streets, when I was behaving badly as a person, was a loyal person. Because at the end of the day, especially if you have a kind of a upbringing, not an upbringing, because I was brought up very well by my mom and dad. But what I got into later in life, in my adult life, I realized really quick that loyalty, you need it. And, because there's survival to be had out here. And so I learned really quick to value loyalty, because it's just not common. Much like common sense, loyalty is not common, especially these days, it seems like. I mean, literally, I can't find hardly anybody outside of my immediate family that I can consider to be true loyal. I'm the kind of person, and I'll say this publicly, I won't go into details, but I gave half of my income up to somebody for an opportunity that I thought we had together. And my income was only $1,000 a month for a very long time, because I believed in a situation, right? So, my point is I will go to great effing lengths if I believe in somebody, and you could take that all the way to the bank. So I want that in my coach. And I think Ross Hodge has got the potential to be that kind of guy. And if he's not, we'll find out really quick. But I really like what he had to say in this interview, and I've got a breakdown for you of the entire thing. And basically, I just typed it all out. I just sat here. I was like a stenographer. I just sat here and I was like, this could be my next job. It's a really hard job. Have you ever tried to type an interview, and type at the same time, like in real time with what they're saying without pausing it? Good luck, man. I'm not able to do it. I can type decent, but definitely not fast enough to do that. So I had to pause a few times. But here's what we got. So obviously he set the ultimate dream as the national championship here. He talked about needing a tough to connected team to get there. Love that. But a more immediate goal is a return to the NCAA tournament with a focus on advancing in the bracket, right? I mean, that's kind of how you get to the national championship, obviously. And he kind of was leaning into our fans' hunger after this 2024-2025 snub that we got from North Carolina. And, I like what he said about the roster. He said he believes his team is primed to win, and he highlighted players with experience at winning. Honor Huff, NIT winner at Chattanooga. Harlan Obioa, NCAA tournament with UNC Wilmington. Jackson Fields, NCAA tournament. Jasper Floyd, Brennan Laureate, high-level winners at North Texas. Maurice Ugasuk, NCAA tournament, South Carolina. Noah Eaglestaff, an incredible talent that just needs to be molded into this situation. DJ Thomas, Jaden Forsythe, high school winners with winning pedigrees, right? And so molding all these guys in, and I love exactly what he said here. He said, the portal giveth and this is a quote, the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. And you're able to win quicker in this day and age than you used to be able to due to the transfer portal. And I also loved how he talked about this team could come together and win, but we have to learn. He said, individually, these guys have all won everywhere else, but we got to learn how to win together, this group of guys. And that's an interesting concept when you think about it. Individually, all these guys have won before, but this team's not won nary a game. They haven't even won a practice session yet, really. So they're literally over on both sides of the coin. They haven't lost any. They haven't won any. So it's going to be super interesting to see what Coach Hodge and company can do with this putty that they have, if you will. I love some of the stuff he said about Bob Huggins. There's a lot, and I want to get to that next, guys. Let's go to break. We're going to touch on what he had to say about Bob Huggins as well, but we also need to talk about the social media battle, at least in my mind, that Nico Markiol and Jalen Henderson are having. We're going to talk about that too. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Monarch Money. When it comes to Monarch Money, look, even at my advanced age of 40, I look at my account sometimes and think, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And look, that's where Monarch Money is going to come in for you, because they can be your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. By the way, CFO stands for Chief Financial Officer. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and even your spending. I know that's a bad word, all in one place. So just stop managing your money and start building your wealth, because micromanaging is never a good thing. I don't care what it is. Trust me, I know. When I started using Monarch too, I realized okay, I'm spending a ton of money on DoorDash here. I've used this example before. Probably, no lie, one order of DoorDash for me that lives alone, $50+ sometimes. And that's for let's say I get a couple orders of mozzarella sticks and a beef and cheddar from Arby's. That can trend upwards of $30, $40. It's insane how much it costs. So I had to budget smarter to save more. And the all-in-one convenience of the app, instead of juggling multiple, you can use just Monarch to check your finances, track spending, plan long-term goals. I actually do use this app. So take control of your finances. And with Monarch Money today, use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your very first year. It's segment 2, and I am going to crack a do. Even it's getting a little bit on the late side, but I'm okay with it, because I'll tell you why. If Ross Hodge can land Braden Hawthorne tomorrow, or if Ross Hodge can get us back to the tournament, or even the national championship, you can Baja Blast my ass into the sun, because I'll absolutely be just a mess if we get that done. You want to see me publicly cry like a little girl? You want to see me publicly get on here and just sob? If we get to the national championship game, just getting there might be enough. But surely to God, if we have some, I'm telling you guys, if we have any kind of major, winning, I guess, any kind of major titles, even a Big 12 title, it's been so long. It's been such a long time, and the last time it happened was with my dad too, so that'll get me. But I'll probably get on here and cry if I'm not cried out by the time I get on here. I'm curious how many of you guys have thought about that with yourself, because I know we have very passionate fans. Are you the crying type of fan? If we actually made it to the pinnacle, I'm curious, would you be honest with yourself and say, would you cry? I'm curious. Just let me know in the comments, guys. I want to know. Or in the chat right now, let me know if you would cry if West Virginia won at a major high level. All right. So a couple other things he touched on. Obviously, we want to talk about Bob Huggins and the mark that he made on the program. I'm glad I changed the wording on that because I put shadow, and I thought that's not what I want to convey here because it's not really a shadow like it was for Josh Eilert. This is a mark, an indelible mark. And he talked about it. You know, his legacy is a Mountaineer icon. And he mentioned other people. He mentioned Hot Rod. He mentioned Jerry. He mentioned Coach Catlett, Beeline. He went down the list. He ready for any kind of history lesson. And he acknowledged, Coach Hugg's profound significance to West Virginia. And he also said that he thinks Huggins' contributions every day of his contributions when he steps into his office and then at that practice facility, which, I love Rothstein for this. He said it's the elite of the elite and second to none. It's obvious that Rothstein has an affinity for Coach Huggins, which is why the name went away, tougher than a weekend at your Outlaws and all that. That was referenced in this episode because Coach Hodge referenced it in his opening press conference. I found that to be pretty interesting too. So he's gonna. I think the way I took it, I think John Rothstein's going to see if we can earn this name back this year. I think we did with DeVries in year one. I think they played pretty tough at times. I'll be honest. As much as I grew to dislike him after everything, but like I'm not going to go revise history because I dislike somebody. Like we played tough defense at times, a lot of the times with them last year. So that's interesting. And there was a lot of other things, like just different things. Like, I think they're going to definitely think they're going to lean into defense, and that's something that we knew coming into this. But he talked about the hiring process at West Virginia. I think I got into that earlier. That was interesting, just making sure I didn't miss anything. So basically, it was you can probably knock this thing out in parts, but I think the national championship part of the conversation was one that perked my ears up. The NCAA tournament perked my ears up. He talked about how quickly you can build a team for that, and I really enjoyed the conversation. Coach Hodge is a pretty good interview, and he certainly held back some things, I think, in this one because I think there are just some things he doesn't know just yet. But certainly a very interesting conversation with John Rothstein. I encourage you to go watch it and check out exactly everything they had to say. There was more, but that's pretty much the full conversation. There was a couple things like he mentioned playing Coach Huggins and the again when he was in North Texas and different things like that. And he talked about with as far as Coach Hugs and he like meeting or actually talking because they haven't even spoken. He said he's hoping time heals all. So maybe it sounds like Coach Huggins on his side is a little bit upset. Not exactly sure, though. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but that's the vibe I got from his answer. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take one more break. And I got to be honest with you guys. I think Jalen Henderson and Nico Markiol are having a social media battle. Call me crazy, but let's talk about that next. This is Lock on West Virginia. Stick around. So if you haven't noticed, and I'm going to share a screen with you guys here. This is wild to me. It really is. I got to be honest. Here's Nico Markiol today, 3-4 hours ago, 4:59. It says right here. I'm curious what the other one says. Aha. That's right. That's what I thought. So it's funny. 3 separate occasions I count now. These guys have both posted practice footage of themselves on the same day. And I find that to be very interesting. I think that it's almost like they're in a little bit of a competition here. It's nothing malicious or anything like that. Like, I like this. I think it's like, oh, okay, I got you. I can do one better, right? And so let's check out Nico's highlights from today. Oh, man, this is the kind of thing that just gets me rolling, buddy. Like, both look really good. Nico's is much better lighting, and it looked like he was in much sunnier weather. So that helped, I think, his footage a little bit. But let's check out some of the things Nico's doing right here as we share the screen.
Ball.
A little bit of footwork.
Awesome. Ball.
Time. And look at the footwork, much improved footwork from before. So look at the footwork of Nico as he flips here. So you've got the in rhythm, the bounce on the back foot, transferring weight from back to front, and a turn. Left hand goes in right pocket, right? That's what they teach. And then you've got this pose here, which you see a lot of quarterbacks end up in, which is how you get the most torque on a ball. Now let's look at follow through on this one, left-handed follow through. So as you can see, looks like those first two fingers, similar to a basketball, going to release this thing here. Perfectly done. Yep, right off the last, really looks like the middle finger's involved there, along with maybe some fourth finger. So yeah, definitely some fourth finger involved. So a very pretty release from Nico. And you can see he's got some good spin on this thing. Basically no wobble, and it hits the receiver just in stride. Very well done from Nico there. I mean, I'm not going to break every single one of them down like that, but I do wanted to get notice of his throwing motion on there. You know me, I may do it again. We'll just have to see. So here he is here. Obviously, notice he's parallel. Feet are parallel here. You know, you look at some quarterbacks, they put the left foot back. Other quarterbacks put the right foot back, like Aaron Rodgers. That's not what is usually taught with the right foot back like that. That was an Aaron Rodgers thing that a lot of quarterbacks tried to do. Aaron Rodgers could do that because his arm talent was so elite that it didn't really matter what position he started in. Truthfully, he didn't need to be on platform to throw the ball correctly. You know, he threw off platform better than almost anybody. Actually, he threw off platform better than anybody else in the history of the game. But he also threw off platform better than most guys do on platform. So, okay, 1, 2, 3. So these are 3-step drops, and that's a rifled in pass. Very beautifully done from Nico here. So as you can see, watch the 1, 2, 3. You come back from 1, 2, 3 on the back foot, bounce in rhythm, shuffle, and toss. And as you can see that right foot? So he's just inside the hip of the guy he's throwing the ball to. And that's what I was taught years and years ago. I mean, you know where I was taught this at, funnily enough? It was at Marshall University. It was at Chad Pennington's quarterback camp whenever he was, to tell you my age, right? It's whenever he was there. So I got some personal attention from him. And this is what I was always told. You know, one of the things I was told is right hand and left pocket. The other thing I was told was you want to always keep your foot inside of where you want to get the ball to, or at least perpendicular with it. So, and that's where he's at here. You see where that toe's pointing just ahead of this player. And you'll see the follow through as he follows through. It's still there. And it's a beautiful ball too, man. I mean, this is like that touchdown versus Oklahoma State where you're like, holy cow, man, this kid's got arm talent, right? Like, that's a beautiful ball. But here's the thing. Nico Markle has a 58% completion percentage career. We've talked about this. Why is that? Live bullets. You can't simulate live bullets very well unless you're in practice, full pads, and everybody can come at you, right? So this is a beautiful looking ball, absolutely. But we still have to see where he's at against live competition, guys. You know, unfortunately. And I want to believe. So here's another great one from Nico. Another 3-step drop, and this is on a hitch. So inside hitch coming back towards the ball to the inside. So nicely done. I'm trying to figure out who that is out there. Is that Cyrus Traw? I don't know. It's hard to tell from here. It could be anybody. It could be somebody from his past. But let's break this one down really quick. We talked about 1, 2, 3, and then let's just get this follow through. Beautifully done. So you can see the first fingers right there. Thumb still it's got connection on the ball. See, that's where a lot of people mess up that aren't trained. Obviously, you want to let it just come off your hands, but you got to keep that connection with the thumb there. And that's why they, a lot of guys, like whenever they have small hands, that's why that's where the saying grip it and rip it comes from. A lot of times, if you've got small hands, a lot of NFL teams won't even look at you. Another pretty ball here. Great catch by the receiver, too. He plucked that one right out of the air. So this is eye manipulation, obviously, is what they're practicing, looking off the safety. Very well done. So that's fun, too. Now let's get over to Jalen Henderson's tape as well, which is a little bit worse as far as the lighting goes, but it's still not bad. We can still see what happens, basically. Okay. Jalen Henderson. Boom. Okay, so we'll start up top here. Let me make this a bit bigger. Okay. This one's an interesting one. Look at that. What a throwing motion, huh? So this is what you're going to see in Rich Rod's offense when they do those bubble screens, those kind of plays like that. This is the kind of throwing motion you can whip out, and this is a way to get rid of it really quickly without having to worry about setting up and throwing it, because you're not going to have time. It's almost like a pitcher, right? You've got to have a pitch for when nobody's on base, and then you've got to have a shortened version of that whenever somebody's on base. And quarterbacks have that too. And this is a great version of what Jalen Henderson's looks like. Like we got a screen pass, we got to get rid of it. Nobody's blocking on the left side of the offensive line, either going out to block for the receiver, what have you. This is how quickly you can get rid of that. Boom. And it snaps out of there. And I love the torque he gets on this one. So let's break it down. 1, 2, 3 to the side. Little hop. And that is a beautifully thrown ball. I don't know how to grade it necessarily just because of the style of play it is. It's like, you ever see Kansas State whenever they used to run those, they would run that where they would do obviously they would run the fake RPO, and then the quarterback would run and throw it while he was running. It's almost like an RPO, literally, like he gets that running going, and at the last second they'll throw it out there. That's kind of what this looks like. But he's got some traditional stuff on here as well, obviously, like this. So it's like, I think that's a drill for something I'm not exactly sure, off-platform kind of drill. Obviously, I'm not a quarterback coach, so I don't know every single thing they do and what it's for. So this is a 3-step drop and another beautiful ball, guys. I mean, it's really hard. I really think they both throw beautiful deep balls. This one has more air under it than Nico's. I'm not saying that's bad or good, but I mean, it's a beautiful ball coming off the fingertips here. So look at that planted foot, transfer of weight, hips, and there you see it coming off the final 2 fingers, which is what you want. You got a pretty good base here, and the follow through is nice as well. So very well done there as well. And like I say all the time with quarterbacks, especially, if no 2 quarterbacks get to the gas station the same way. Like Phillip Rivers, if you would have judged him by his release, he would have never played it down, right? So, at the end of the day, it's how does the ball come out of their hands? Are they hurting themselves in any way by throwing it that way they're doing it? As long as they're not, as long as it gets there accurately, that's all that matters. And there's a matter of timing to it as well. Like, one of the reasons Byron Leftwich, sorry, my neck's hurting. One of the reasons Byron Leftwich never succeeded in the NFL, and one of the reasons the kid out of Kentucky, Will Levis, is having trouble right now is because of the windup. So if you ever look at the windup on a quarterback, A lot of times some quarterbacks will really wind that thing up from down here before they throw it. And really good corners will get a break on the ball from how long it takes you just to get your wind up. Think about that. Sometimes it can take a full half second to 3/4 of a second to get the ball out. And then you got guys like Aaron Rodgers or even Nico right there that it just pops right out. It's very important. And a thing that's not talked about a lot is what's your windup look like. That's great, right? There's no windup here. It's literally back and out. Some guys really, it's like a big, almost like a candy cane shape, the way they get rid of it. So another pretty ball, a little high, but I'm not sure how tall this guy is. He looks kind of short, huh? I'm trying to judge it by the height of the orange thing there, which is probably 5'10" or 5'11", maybe 6 feet. So this guy's probably under 6 feet, but it's still a pretty ball. I mean, there it is, yep. And at the end, and here's the other thing: these guys probably don't play. I don't know for sure. I'm making a guess here, but these guys probably don't play together every day. Looks to me like he meant to lead him out just a little bit more, but still, that's within the catch radius for sure. Most receivers are okay with that. But I mean, in the game, you would want to bring that down, I guess, just a touch maybe, but it's just one rep. You know what I mean? Don't want to get too over focused in on one rep. Another really pretty ball, guys. I mean, that's a beautifully thrown ball. 1, 2, 3, hop. And then you've got, let me get on the grab of this thing here. And that's coming right off in a similar way. Beautifully done. Right over that shoulder. So they both are putting in work, and that's what you want to see, right? Every day of the week, these guys are putting in the work this year. That's a heck of a ball down the sidelines, man. I just want to see that one more time. I mean, that's a long, pretty ball thrown down the sidelines there. So both guys are putting in work. Love to see it. But I just thought, to me, it's kind of funny that both of these guys are posting these at the same time each day. By the way, Jalen posted at 4:27. Nico posted about 30 minutes later. Take that for what you will. Maybe that means Nico's extremely competitive, and that's fine. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but put the fries in the bag, right? Like Nico was second today. I don't know what happened yesterday, or the last time they both posted. Maybe it was Jalen was second that day, but I just love the competitiveness of Nico to come out like that. And look, I also could be reading too much into it, and they're both just coincidentally posting at the same time, 3 different times now. But I'm going to say that no, I think it's probably something to it. Like, just remember me, I'm in the room with you too. So, and then you got Max Brown, you got Scotty Fox probably silently just working away as well. So, yeah, both throw a nice ball, exactly, Mike. And I think we're in good hands either way. And we broke down not earlier, but yesterday, the running styles of these players. And I think I'll try to get a hold of some tape that I can break down without getting copyright strict hit, because I would like to break down the running styles of these players for sure, because we've talked about it before. I think they're similar in speed. I would say that Jalen's a touch, maybe a little step faster, but Nico is much stronger right now, or at least as far as size and strength, I think he's stronger. But Jalen has some more wiggle to him, which he shows on tape a lot. And so, but, I think the other thing you have to be honest about is Nico hasn't had enough snaps to really show what he can do 100% running it. So he might have more to his game that I'm not remembering from high school, because he was so much more talented than guys in that day and age, right? But yeah, Jalen, and it's going to be a fun battle to track. I'm going to talk about it a lot on the show, because obviously it's a hot topic that I think a lot of our fans are interested in, and I'm interested in. And I just want us to be in good hands, whoever's hands it is. I'm not rooting against any single guy. I say this every time I talk about it. I put my faith in Jalen, but I certainly do think that Nico could certainly kick us to the promised land. And I am honest to God not rooting against him. I just think after I met Jalen and how determined he is privately and how much he has riding on this personally, he's already kind of had to leave Texas A&M because of an injury. It wasn't because of his play on the field. And he didn't, he had a guy in front of him that was an NFL player and Hayner at Fresno. So he had to leave there feeling unfulfilled. And I think he's just got a fire burning deep down inside of him that just completely and totally shocked me when I met him, because it's so obvious that it's eating him alive every day that he hasn't been able to show people what he can do yet. And I think that's what's driving him. And so I say this a lot. Can I guarantee that if Jalen balls out next year that he would stay? I can't. Could I if Nico? I would feel much better about it. Now, doesn't mean that Jalen's not loyal, like I said before. It just means that he's only been here a year. It's not, Nico's been here for years and years. So I do think that Nico winning the job and being really good has its own benefits to it. So, I like either option. I really do. But I just saying, after I met Jalen and his play on the field have convinced me that I think he could be very successful in this offense that Rich Rod runs. All right, guys. If you didn't hear the beginning of the interview, it was about Ross Hodge. Braden Hawthorne is coming, going to announce tomorrow at 7:00. That's going to be an interesting situation. I will be covering it probably live, either during or right after the announcement. No matter where he goes, if it's like, I'll probably have a different contingency for each option. Like I'll have a thumbnail for Pitt, for Virginia Tech. I'll have one for Kentucky, obviously for us. I'll have all that ready to go. So that way, if whenever he commits somewhere, I can just post it and go. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. West Virginia coming in hot late with the best bid is a big deal, I think, according to On3 from earlier. So we'll continue to monitor it and see if anybody else comes in with anything, but we're not going to hear about it if they do. We'll hear about it after the fact. But it's going to be fun to monitor, guys. Coach Hodge is cooking. He said we got to pick up a couple more pieces. That's what I forgot. He mentioned on the Rothstein deal today that we do have to get a couple more pieces to finish it out. I personally think they've got money tied up into Hawthorne, and they're going to wait and see what his decision is and then proceed from there. Maybe that's why we haven't seen anybody. I would imagine that if we don't see Hawthorne, we'll probably in quick succession see a couple other players come into West Virginia. So keep an eye on it, because I don't have any inside knowledge. I'm just trying to think from their perspective, right? You've already spent a lot of money on the kind of the big three, if you consider Eagle Staff, Huff, and even Moore, I think is one of the big three in this class anyway. I would say Eagle Staff and Huff probably took close to $2 million up, right? If not a little more. So you're really singing, you're flying close to the sun a little bit here. And I am so interested to see what the final number is. But like I said, they probably in that 6 to 7 million range is what I was told. And as of now, and we'll see if they can do more with Braden, who a lot of people feel like, I think the offers are in that 250 to 500K range for him. But that's just one person that told me that. And yes, they're in the media, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's it, right? So we'll continue to monitor the whole thing, guys. I thank you for being here. Not a lot else to talk about. I think, Ross Hodge conducted himself great on the interview today. I would love to see a weekend with your in-laws, a long weekend with your in-laws come back. And I think Rothstein's interested in bringing it back. Hodge keeps talking about it, so let's do it. And let's keep this quarterback situation alive, man. Thanks for joining, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to try to eat a burger really quick and hit the sack with my old ass, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team every single day. If you do me a favor, check out the Portal Report, guys, over on YouTube. They do a great job. And look, Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes of college football landscape. Do it today. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Jalen and Nico battling it out. Coach Hodge speaking out. Huggins, national championship, the whole nine. Fun day of Mountaineer sports. Let's do it all over again tomorrow. And I'll see you then.